Welcome to Review Every Ship by CitizenCon 2024. The point is to give an update on every ship since some haven't had a video made about them in years, and others, the information is simply too spread out to be helpful in making decisions. When we do a concept ship that isn't in-game, we'll theorycraft about what we think the final product is going to be using educated guesses and the information available at the time of the review. We'll go in-depth, but we won't repeat everything on the RSI website. We will link to sources and fix any errors either in the description or in the comments. And remember, digital ships aren't imaginary, digital ships are imagine necessary. Before we start, I am giving away an account with a Stella Fortuna themed ship. I'll announce which ship on the day of Stella Fortuna, which should be March 17th. I will also be giving away a Stella Fortuna skin or armor to a separate winner. All you need to do is subscribe to Billionaire Ninjas, leave a comment on at least one video, and like or dislike a video. When you win, I will verify you through social media, so go and follow the Billionaire Ninjas page at Ninjas Leap on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. We will be posting content on all those pages soon. The two winners for each contest will be announced at the end of the month and will have 2 weeks to claim their prize. Now, back to our regularly scheduled programming. As this ship is still in concept, but is currently being built, remain aware all things we say here are subject to change. We are at the Consolidated Outland manufacturer, and we finish our series on the Consolidated Outland with the Consolidated Outland Pioneer, and it has 0 variants. For the price, the Pioneer as of 3.22.1 is $850 standalone, $750 war bond, and was the same at concept. In-game cost and rental cost is unknown. The ship is only available during time-limited sales. It is a limited ship, meaning you have to play the F5 wars to win it, meaning you have to literally know when it's going to go on sale in order to get one. This ship is not currently in-game, and for loaner ships, you get a Caterpillar and a Nomad. That's as of February 27th, 2024. I feel like that should include a C2 or Raft or a Constellation Taurus. So I feel like the loaners don't really quite give you what you need for how much money you just spent on the game. But I digress. After their auspicious debut with the Mustang, Consolidated Outland has gone and changed the game again with their reveal of the Pioneer. This self-contained mobile construction yard is capable of creating planetary modular structures, ushering in a new wave of aspiring colonists to customize their new homes on the frontier. The manufacturing and construction ship.
Oh, you want a bigger house? It'll cost you extra. Nice doing business with you.
For measurements, the Pioneer has a length of 200 meters, beam of 125, height of 30 meters, and it is a capital ship, but expected to grow from the size listed. Its minimum crew is 4 and its maximum crew is 8, but its max crew was originally listed at 14, so I'm guessing that either has shrunk because they realize they don't need as much crew, or it will be 14 once the ship grows, so take that with a grain of salt. It also can carry 600 SCU. The Pioneer SCM speed is of course unknown, and we don't know the afterburner speed. My guess is it will be slow because it's a capital ship. I'm thinking it will be below average speed for a capital class because the ship isn't necessarily built for speed. I'm gonna guess actually that it will be one of the slowest capital ships in the game, except when it comes to quantum speed, but I'll talk to that later. For weapons, the Pioneer comes with 6 size 4 weapon hardpoints, 2 manned size 3 dual turrets, and 2 remote size 3 dual turrets, no missiles. For ship parts, the Pioneer has 1 large radar, 3 medium computers, 3 large power plants, 2 large coolers, 4 medium coolers, 6 large shield generators, 2 large fuel intakes, 2 large fuel tanks, 1 large quantum drive, 1 large jump module, and 2 large quantum fuel tanks. However, these are all going to change because the way CIG builds ships has changed since the concept of this ship. I would expect it to have 2 large computers rather than the 3 medium computers, a capital power plant, a capital cooler, 2 capital shield generators, and maybe a few more capital parts. So yes, I gave you the ship parts. Just be aware that because the ship has grown, it'll most likely have capital parts to replace some of those where it had 3 or 2 of the same part. The hull HP for the Pioneer is unknown, but because of the brochure, I'm guessing the shields on the Pioneer will be something like civilian or industrial grade B shields. Now, I don't think that it's going to be heavily armored. I do think it'll have quality parts though. I'm guessing quadrant shields with somewhere between 700,000 and 2 million HP, kind of like I said with the Banu Merchantman. However, because it doesn't have armor, I'm going to lean that it's more close to the 2 million HP, because I think this is going to be one of those where the shields do most of the work, not necessarily the hull of the ship, like on the Banu Merchantman, which is heavily armored. It really depends on if they do the full capital shields. Like I said, I think it'll have 2 capital shields, or if they do like multiple large shields. They could do 6 large shields or something crazy like that. So it's hard to guess with this one because there aren't a lot of in-game assets that we can look at for information. But my guess is think millions of HP, not hundreds of thousands of HP, when we're talking about the shield, not necessarily the hull. For quantum stats, the Pioneer stats are also unknown, but considering its role, I would guess it goes very, very far, but moves very slow. We are talking multiple jump points without refueling and across multiple systems. I'm thinking that this will be one of the farthest traveling non-exploration ships in the game, due to its need to be able to reach the same places as exploration ships. However, it will be quite slow at getting there overall. I think it will be average in quantum speed, so I don't think this is going to be a fast-moving SCM mode or nav mode ship. I do think though, once it gets into quantum, it's going to go very fast. I don't mean very fast in general, I mean very fast for the capital ship class. I think it'll be average or above average in that way. The claim time for the Pioneer is also unknown, but for a cap ship, I would expect more than 90 minutes regular claim, 30 minutes expedited claim, and maybe about 125k for the expedited claim fee. This will not be an easy ship to claim, and it will not be a quick ship to claim, and it will not be a cheap ship to claim. For special features and amenities, it is a capital ship, and so far all capital ships have mostly the same amenities for long haul travel for its crew. That means bathrooms, a full kitchen suite, beds, showers, food storage, internal storage, gear lockers, and weapons racks. The Pioneer's brochure also said it will have enough of those things to accommodate guests, so I'm assuming these would be the people that you're building the outpost for, or maybe they're the people that you brought to fill the outpost. These are the people that are actually going to live here, not necessarily just building it for somebody who wants to own something. So the Pioneer has a lot of unique things that might come with that accommodations for guests thing, so we don't really know what that is. So assume that it'll probably mean more of the things I listed before, like more food storage, more beds, more showers, things like that. The Pioneer also has unique landing gear, allowing it to land on a wide variety of terrains. So it can't land like lopsided on top of a mountain. That's not what we're talking about. It's more so like the ground doesn't have to be completely flat for the Pioneer to be able to land. The Pioneer also has a landing pad on it, and considering the estimates I've been able to find, what ships were available when the concept released, how close the pads are to the cargo bay, and its dependency on heavy freight, the landing pad should be able to land a Caterpillar and be at least 112 meters in length, 60 meters in width, 22 meters in height. However, I would say that's the max size it should be, because now that we have something like the C2, which is smaller lengthwise, they could do that. That being said, that's what I think it should be. What the reality is CIG tends to go a lot smaller on landing pads. So if it's only able to fit small and medium ships, that would be more realistic of what it's supposed to do. The brochure actually mentions a smaller scout and support vehicles, so maybe it doesn't get as huge as I'm saying, but I'm hoping that CIG is listening to this and they get the hint that we need some ships with larger pads, because it just makes sense. CIG, not every ship needs a small pad. You can go bigger. We accept it. I also think this ship will have higher than grade C components, because the brochure mentions that it's built to last, but I don't know if that's just marketing or if it's legit. So if it's CIG that's writing that, saying it's actually built to last, which it might be, then I'm guessing it comes with grade B or grade A components, at least in some parts. Now for its construction features. This ship is scheduled as of CitizenCon 2023 to be able to construct any static building or static structure that is available to the player. This is also meant to include space stations at some point, but not necessarily at initial release. Base building will be able to be done at 4 levels, from small to medium to large to extra large. And the Pioneer can do all of the levels. There are other ships that will be able to do lower levels, but the Pioneer so far is the only one that can do all of the levels and the only one that can do extra large. Star Citizen will use the same raster tool for base building as the developers use, with a few limitations. The tool allows placement of modular structures on planet surfaces and deformation of terrain. If you look up the Inside Star Citizen episode, Hey Now, It's a Raster, you'll get a glimpse of how base building will work. I'll do a quick overview video of how building and the land claims works in the future, so make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell icon so you don't miss it. I will note that once the buildings are placed, the Pioneer will be able to move them at the cost of a minor loss of materials. So it's not like if you make a mistake and put it in the wrong place, you can't move it. However, you will have to add probably the foundation materials back or something like that, because when you move the building, you'll probably have to at least repair parts of it from when you had to kind of rip it out of the grounds, so to speak. The ship works by putting out an articulating arm, and then internally it has an entire manufacturing process that happens and the player must control. It's not like you enter a blueprint and then it goes into auto mode and pops out what was on the blueprint. It will take a level of skill to produce high quality buildings. Once the building or building section is complete, you can then use onboard mechanisms to place it properly where you need it to be, if it does indeed need to move and you aren't already where it needs to be. Now it's time to rate this ship. A rating I rate from 1 to 10. My 1 is only buy if you have a unique reason that is specific to you or because you like the looks of the ship. My 10 is basically if you have the money, this ship is almost guaranteed to be useful to you in the game. A 1 doesn't mean the ship is useless or ugly, and a 10 doesn't mean that the ship is perfect. Just remember, this is just our rating. Please give us yours in the comments down below, or you can write them on paper planes and fly them to us. Yeah, just throw them really hard out the window. They'll get to us eventually. My rating for this ship overall is an 8. Let's start with what I like about this ship. Everything. Yeah, everything. I have one. This will be one of the primary ships I use in the game. Well, that's not helpful to anyone, so let's be more specific. It does all levels of construction. It can build fabricators for pretty much anything so long as you have the correct blueprints. It can act as a mobile base. It's one of the only 2 announced ships that will be able to do base building other than the RSI Galaxy. Now, what are the issues? It doesn't have missiles. It requires a lot of setup and in-game money to build your own bases. The guns could be better. It could use some point defense turrets like the Banu Merchantman has, and let's not forget, it's a pretty niche category. Not everybody is going to be interested in base building. So how would I fix this ship? Give it some size 2 missiles, upgrade the guns to size 5. Now, I also think you should reduce the amount of guns and give it some point defense turrets instead. Then the turret should have come with size 4 guns. They can fit size 4 guns, but they have size 3s. Also, make sure there is enough gameplay for players to build up their resources to afford to use the ship. Like, I don't want to have my only ship be a Pioneer and then there's no use for it when I start the game. And I think this is going to be something where you might have to build your reputation and things like that to be able to fully use the capabilities of a ship like the Pioneer. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that there should be no gameplay for the Pioneer. Maybe you lose money if you do this type of job with the Pioneer because it's so huge. So if all you need to build is a small base, it might cost you the same amount to do the first 3 missions that it cost you to fill the Pioneer with people and all the materials that were necessary to do those first few missions. So you might not make money for the first 3 or 4 missions, and then that 5th mission, now you have a decent reputation. Now you can start to make a little bit of money, and then it just goes up from there. They have to make sure that every ship has a way of getting money and reputation to where you can eventually use that whole ship, because some people, that might be their only ship. And I know we don't want, some type of pay to win structure where you have this ship and now all of a sudden at the first mission in game you can do a mission that makes you 100 million UEC, right? So it really has to be in that state where it takes you a while to actually start making money. You might have to operate at a loss for a little while because you have this huge ship, whereas if you had a smaller ship, you would immediately be making some money. So I think that's kind of a way that they can balance that. Now, another thing I would do is I would add a better or larger radar to allow this to also act as like a planet surveyor ship, because some people aren't really going to need to do that much construction, but they want the ship and maybe they just like the ship. So I think you should give them another way of using this ship, and it's very close to being able to do surveyor work. It just needs the larger radars, I think. And again, we're not asking for it to be an exploration ship, just surveyor, like it does things planet side. And I think that would widen the niche a little bit for this particular ship. Now, that's assuming that it can't do that already. It might actually be able to do that by the time the ship actually releases. I do think this will be one of the last ships that it'll release. Like, when I say last, I mean like we could be talking 4 or 5 years from now, maybe longer, because I think this will be the last ship, the second to last ship. I think the Endeavor will be the very, very last ship, and then I think this will be the second to last ship. Now, I think they'll start developing this. I think actually they've already started. So CitizenCon said in 2023, Todd Pappy, you know, I know he's no longer with CIG. Shout out to Todd Pappy. He's still awesome. But they said in CitizenCon 2023 that this particular ship had some unique features that they haven't announced. So that's part of the reason why I'm giving it an 8, because it's so niche, it could have had a 7. And it might even jump up to a 9 once we know what those extra features are. But they did say that they were going to start working on base building in the first quarter of 2024. So we don't know exactly what that means, but if they're starting to work on it in Q1, that means it's still a few years away, because they're still trying to figure out how it's going to work and what we're going to be able to do with it. So I wouldn't expect this ship anytime soon. Just moving on with the review. I don't know if this has a medical facility because I couldn't find proof of one, but it should have at least one tier 2 med bed for accidents and injuries, because it's a construction ship. And we all know that with construction, there's always an injury. So who is this ship for? The Pioneer is for pretty much anyone. I know I said it was niche earlier. However, a ship that can build fabricators is useful to anyone who needs what the fabricator can build. And the fabricators can build just about anything. We all need weapons, we all need ship parts, we all need armor, we all need refineries, we all need garages, we all need landing pads. If the Pioneer can't build it, it can build a building that can build it. So why is it an 8? The Pioneer, like I said, is a niche ship, but pretty much anyone can eke out some utility from it. However, it's expensive, albeit I think it's still underpriced when you consider what it offers in comparison to some of the other ships around that price point. It also is a ship that is ripe for the picking from pirates. And next to the Banu Merchantman, it may be the single most pirated ship in the game because it has less onboard defense than the Merchantman. So one thing, unlike the Merchantman, you'll pretty much be required to keep at least a small security detail around. However, this thing will make significantly more money than the Merchantman. Just look at the real estate market in real life versus the local mall. One XL base building mission could change your entire financial status. I imagine using this ship as exactly what its title says, a pioneer. Once I go and survey planets with my Odyssey and destroy any local or land threats with my A2 while dropping off a Centurion and Ballista, I come back with the Pioneer, flanked by an F8, a Valkyrie, and a Perseus. And then I build my base to become an outpost where the possibilities are endless. I start with the then I build a you need 2 of those. Then yeah, sorry. I can't share all of my plans with you on this one. However, I might enjoy base building so much, I might give away a base building project for free. I know you're here for our rating, but if you really want a ship, go buy it. We won't stop you. Or even better, all ships can be earned in-game once the game releases, and some you can purchase in-game right now. These are just our ratings, but when you spend, it's your money. My opinion, if you have absolutely zero interest in base building, would prefer to pay someone else to build, or the ship is just too much money, stay away from this one. But if you're not in those categories, this is a good pickup for literally everyone else. But I'm good if you don't get one. More construction for me, more projects for me, and more moolah for me. Also, I almost forgot, one of our contest winners still did not show up after 48 hours. So we have picked a new winner, and that new winner is Couch Doritos. You won a Drake Cutter and Drake Dragonfly. You have 24 hours to reach out to us via social media, and we will get you your ships. All right, that is it for this one. Thanks for spending your time with us. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.